We need to talk about The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time because there's been a lot of talk about GTA and if Nintendo can withstand the heavy blitz that GTA 6 is going to be doing. We know that Grand Theft Auto 6 is not going to be on the Nintendo Switch 2 at launch. Now, there's some information out there that it might drop in 2027 or later, but at launch, it's not going to be there. And that's obviously going to be a huge boon to PlayStation, Xbox, and it's not coming to PC. It looks like it's going to come to PC later. But can the Nintendo Switch 2 withstand this? Because we got a leak when it comes to Ocarina of Time and when we're going to see this game, and it's going to be positioned very closely if the rumor or if the leak here or what people are speculating, putting two and two together, which I actually guessed this date. If it all works out, it's going to be very close to Grand Theft Auto 6. Can the Switch 2 withstand that blow? Well, I think it can, and I have multiple reasons why I think that's going to be the case. But before we continue, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 at 140,000 subscribers or on September 1st, whichever comes first. Subscribe, like, comment. The winner will be chosen at random, and it's a worldwide giveaway. Thanks, peeps. So over on Twitter, this whole thing has been something that I've talked about before on my live streams. People have brought it up. Some of my users have brought it up. But Mr. Reese Kiwi Talks, who's a great content creator, he's interviewed hundreds of developers, get some great content out of there. So check out his channel. I'll have that linked for you guys in the description below. But he puts out a tweet saying, holy crap, it looks as though Nintendo are actually doing it. They are going head to head with GTA 6 in November. Laughing, crying emoji. I admire Nintendo's balls of steel, even if I think it's incredibly stupid given the attention vacuum GTA 6 will be, but I guess they had no other choice. The Amiibo leak sends massive weight to it. I look forward to the showdown. So before we get back into what Mr. Kiwi Talks had to say, let's get into that Amiibo leak because I haven't covered it. And it shows that The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time will launch about a week before Grand Theft Auto 6. So let's get into that. And it says, Amiibo listings now state releasing November 12th, which is a Thursday. Now, these Amiibo listings are coming from the Nintendo UK, and it's listed the Sword Kirby and Dragon and Nor Dedede and Hydra Amiibo for release on November 12th. You may be wondering, why is that important? Well, Amiibo generally release alongside a Nintendo published title, and Nintendo has no titles listed for November. Speculation online suggests that the highly anticipated The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake could launch on that very date. As always, we have to wait and see what happens with this. So that's essentially the Amiibo leak. Now, heading back to what Mr. Kiwi Talk says, I think it's interesting. I do think that I understand the concern, and there are a lot of developers that have moved their games out of November. Nintendo is probably looking at it and saying, okay, we can't have too much in November. They probably wouldn't put 2 games there. But if there was one game that can stand up to Grand Theft Auto, it is The Legend of Zelda. Because The Legend of Zelda fits a different mold. It fits a different player base. And it's on a different system that doesn't have GTA. And let's be real here. A lot of people that are playing GTA, it's not everybody, but a lot of it is the ball and gun gamer archetype. The Nintendo Switch 2 is the furthest from the ball and gun gamer archetype. And what I mean by that is, I mean that when you look at the top best-selling games on Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch 2, a lot of the best-selling games on Xbox and PlayStation are games with either a ball or a gun in it. So shout outs to Black Hokage, he's the one who coined this term. And the ball and gun gamers, they will play obviously like GTA, that's always been up there in the top sales. You look at NBA 2K, FC, Madden, these type of games, Call of Duty, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're into the ball and gun games, more power to you. I've played many ball and gun games in my day. I'm now more of an RPG and platforming and kind of the different types of games that we have now when it comes to Nintendo and third-party RPG stuff. But once again, to each their own when it comes to what they play. So Nintendo gamers are not really too worried about that style of game. I don't think it's going to interfere because The Legend of Zelda is The Legend of Zelda, and Ocarina of Time is Ocarina of Time. It is one of the greatest games of all time and got so many people into gaming in the first place when it comes to what they did on the Nintendo 64. So I see this as actually a smart move. In November, there's not going to be any other games. It's really just going to be, for the most part, Grand Theft Auto and Legend of Zelda. Why not launch it at that point? You're not going to have competition from other stuff like Onimusha, which is on the Nintendo Switch, and gamers would probably be interested, when it comes to Nintendo gamers, would probably be interested in a game like that. You're not going to have a ton of other competition, Trails in the Sky and Fire Emblem, and even some of your own games. Those are all coming out beforehand. It leaves that month wide open. Not everyone wants to play GTA. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be 30, 40 million people, however big the sales are going to be right there at launch. There's going to be tens of millions of people playing, and the game is going to do incredible, and it's going to break every single record. But people do want to play other stuff, and Nintendo still needs to make sure that they have something for the holiday. So I do not see them backing off or moving away. We did recently get the ESRB listing as well, so that tells me it is feature and content complete. Everything that's going to be in that game has been shown to the ESRB. It's all there. E10 plus. There's going to be no delay at this point, or that ESRB rating wouldn't be happening. And I'm guessing they've been working on this for quite some time, and they've been setting it up to be the big holiday Zelda game for the end of this year, to really have a strong holiday, even despite not having GTA. So for me at least, this is something that Nintendo has to do. This year 2 or calendar year 2 of the Nintendo Switch 2, you need to get those Zelda fans that have not jumped on yet to buy the system. And with the leaked date here, it's a week before GTA. People are going to buy both. If someone's into GTA and into Zelda, they're not going to be so preoccupied with waiting for GTA that they're going to skip Legend of Zelda. I think they're going to buy both of them. So I think that it's actually smart that they release it in November. As all of these other games move out, it's going to have a clear path. And once again, if there's one franchise, if there's one game that can actually stand up when it comes to getting sales numbers, it's The Legend of Zelda. But it's this game. Ocarina of Time is just legendary. One of the best rated games, the best rated game of all time when it comes to Metacritic. So I do not see Nintendo backing down. I don't see Nintendo changing it, and there's no reason to change things. I honestly think it's going to sell really well. Now, some of my peers have actually talked about this in the comment section. Nintendo Prime had this to say: "Can't wait for the game to sell incredibly well, proving how wrong you are to have ever been concerned. The world doesn't revolve around GTA 6, especially the world of Nintendo." And I 100% agree with that. Everything doesn't revolve around a game that's not going to be even on the platform. There are going to be millions, tens of millions of Nintendo Switch 2 owners that don't want to play GTA or don't care about GTA. You better provide them, and once again, a lot, probably tens of millions of Zelda fans who still have not bought the Switch 2 yet. You better give them a reason to buy the Nintendo Switch 2, especially after the price increase that's happening on September 1st. You've got to have strong, heavy-hitting games, and you guys know Mario, Zelda, these are the type of games that move systems for Nintendo. Pokemon, that's not going to be ready till next year. Animal Crossing, probably not going to be ready for a while. Super Smash Bros. Probably not going to be announced or ready for the next year or so. So what else do you have? Well, you have The Legend of Zelda, and I think that The Legend of Zelda, with this game in particular, is super important. So I don't see them moving away from that date at all. And once again, if anything, it gives them a better and clearer path because of all the developers who have moved out of November. Now pretty much it's just 2 games at this point. Elite Ninja Juice Man Vaughn says the show doesn't stop because GTA 6 is coming. That's the mark of a company that has supreme confidence in who they are and what they provide. They also still have a fan base to feed, and I 100% agree when it comes to that. You still got to make sure that you have something. You can't tuck your tail and run and not provide people who don't care about GTA a reason to buy the Nintendo Switch 2 and to get into your ecosystem. You have to consistently give them reasons, especially in the biggest time period for sales, which is the Black Friday, November, December. You need to make sure that you have something there. And I'm excited to see this because I do think that The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the Switch 2, this remake, is going to be easily one of the best debuts for a Zelda game. Legend of Zelda has had some great debuts. I mean, if you look at Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, this game put up 10 million units in only 3 days on the market. But I do think that this game in particular is going to spark so much nostalgia. People are going to want to see the graphics. When they finally show it off, it's going to create a unique proposition that so many people are going to remember from their childhood, or people that just want to see that type of darker tone Zelda, that graphic Zelda, almost like Twilight Princess, the original game, but with modern architecture and hardware. That's something we haven't seen in HD. Literally, it's never happened with Legend of Zelda in HD. We've seen it a little bit. We saw it with the tech demo, with that Twilight Princess Wii U tech demo, but they went with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, a very different style. This is going to be a much grittier and true to the original game and what they're trying to do with Twilight Princess and Ocarina and like in that type of line. Man, it is going to be incredible to see how it shakes out. So what do you feel about this? How do you feel about what Nintendo's doing with The Legend of Zelda? Do you still feel that it's going to be coming out on November 12th, which is a typical day, Thursday, that Nintendo would release a game? You can let me know in the comment section. But I want to kind of tag team into this, why Nintendo isn't too worried, and why the Switch 2 is a system that can withstand the brunt, the full force of a GTA, which they've done many times before in the past. If you look at GTA 4 and GTA 5, both of those were released in the Wii era. 2 GTA games in the Wii era, and the Wii still outsold PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and it got 2 GTA games. That's crazy, right? But let me give you guys a little bit more insight on this. Splatoon Raiders recently launched in Japan. We know the game is doing solid here in the US. #1 on the eShop for quite some time since preloads, #1 on Amazon when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 games, #1 in Japan, and we got the details on the physical sales, and it's actually the 4th biggest launch for a Nintendo Switch 2 game in Japan. And think about that just for a second. A Splatoon spin-off. Not the main Splatoon games, but the Splatoon spin-off. Splatoon Raiders did 474,684 physical units. Shout out to my man Stealth who rounded up this information. If you look at 1, 2, and 3, Mario Kart World, Pokemon Legends ZA, Pokemon Pocopia, those 3 games when it comes to Switch 2, if you look at all those sales. But Splatoon Raiders as a spin-off, next to those, it's incredible, and that's what moves the Switch 2. That's why the Switch 2 can kind of take this hit from GTA and pretty much anything else that doesn't come to the platform. You have some of the best-selling, higher-selling titles, and in a region where Sony has just completely abandoned, for the most part, especially getting rid of physical games, you're not even going to show up in the physical charts anymore when it comes to new titles. And look at the huge sales numbers that the Switch 2 is getting. Switch 2 sales boosted up to 50,000 plus units with Splatoon Raiders. Once again, a spin-off, not even the main Splatoon 4. When Splatoon 4 drops, that's going to do better than Splatoon Raiders, and there's going to be a lot more Nintendo Switch 2 owners. So it's a secondary thing for many people, and for others, it's going to be their main platform where they want to be able to play games. That's something that we know about the Switch 2 so far in the early going. It's a system to where, yes, absolutely, secondary system for many Xbox, PlayStation, and PC gamers, but main system for a lot of core Nintendo fans and a growing number of people that are kind of tired of the shenanigans and stuff that we see with other platforms, where you're not getting consistent games, where the games are coming out, and maybe they're okay, some of them, but a lot of them are not. There's a lot of issues that launch, whereas you can look at a lot of the Switch 2 games, all of them are built stout, great playing games, minimal issues, bugs, glitches, things like that. Splatoon Raiders pretty much had a perfect launch. So I do feel that more and more people are going to be able to, like, okay, sure, GTA's coming, but I'll still buy a Switch 2 as a secondary system. Or if they had a Switch 1 and they liked it and they're saving up money, or they're just waiting for the right game to come out, that right game is going to come out, like a Splatoon Raiders, or like a Legend of Zelda, or like a Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, or a Fire Emblem, or a Pokemon Winds and Waves, or a Xenoblade Genesis, and they're going to pick up the system then. And that's how Nintendo does so great, and they can withstand it, because they're going to consistently hit you with body blow after body blow after body blow, and then they're going to come with a haymaker or a straight right when it comes to the bigger titles that are coming out, like Legend of Zelda or like Pokemon Winds and Waves. So that's why I feel that despite the awesomeness of GTA, it's going to be incredible. Everyone's going to play it. Nobody's knocking on that. But I think that these numbers, combined with what we've seen from Zelda before, I think that they're going to be just fine. Switch 2 is going to do great in the holiday season. But what do you think about everything that we discussed here when it comes to it? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, peeps, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.